faucet is running. The flow can't be stopped. The outfit is leaking, but here comes the cop. They
All right. I assume you can hear me now. So my microphone, the microphone that I use isn't showing up on my settings at all. So it just totally forgot the device. That's weird. It's using my shitty webcam mic now, but whatever. That's life sometimes. That's weird. It's on. The computer and it just stopped talking to each other. Thank you for being insistent. I was like, no, I'm not muted. I pushed the button like right away. I made a joke about how that wasn't me singing. And then I was like, everything's showing unmuted. It must have just been a late comment. Sorry about that, everyone. Thank you for being persistent because that hasn't happened to me before. So add one to the list. Anyway, that said, we are now going to check out the patch notes for the Berserker patch. And I haven't read these yet, aside, just scrolling up from the bottom. I saw the Berserker the first time I did that, so pretty excited about it. Let's dive in. Patch notes ahead of time. Keep an eye on announcements for the deployment of this release. It's not out yet, so I think they're doing it again where they release the patch notes, at least in this case, a day ahead of the actual patch. I really like that. And here we go. So this week, the Berserker will join the fray and have their abilities released. Let me give you guys some zoom. Ooh, yeah, okay. How's that look over here? No, you got it off a little bit. Let me move you around. Excuse me. Oh, no, let's just do that. Perfect. All right. Hello Kingdom, time for another packed release. This week, the Berserker will join the fray and have their abilities released. With PvP on the horizon, we will be focused on completing Phase 1 of PvP before the remaining 6 basic class abilities becoming available for combat. I butchered that sentence so badly. Jesus. I don't know. You really should just read on your own. But because I understand our community can't do that, I'm here for you. Oh, and Two Noobs, yes, I saw your message about I addressed this earlier, I'm sorry, but I'll let you know. I'm going to talk about that at the end. But thank you for the donation, as always, Two Noobs. Everyone, if you want, you can go check out the description of this show, and you will be able to find a link there for my Donate Live account if you want to donate to me. I'm not saying you should or anything, but if you want to, it's there. And it also supports not just me, but also two noobs from our here DFK community who's launching a really cool crypto project. I mean, launching, it's in development, and he's doing really cool things really fast. It's amazing. And I assume there's a team. I don't know. I just know two noobs from talking to him about it. And I think it's a really awesome tool, and he's now doing a points, what's it called? A points, I'm losing word here, but like essentially you can farm points by using a streamer's invite code. You get 500 points each for eventual, I believe, airdrop of the Don 3 token, but I don't know how else you get them from there, because there is also this wallet donation, which I believe is based on your activity. So the more you're, giving things to people, and you don't have to give people like expensive stuff. You can send people stuff as jokes just to get like a word on the screen. That's how some people do it with like super chats, I know, on YouTube. And but you can just send bloaters. Like, it's really the cost of gas at that point, because bloaters, as we know, are they only ever worth 2.5 gold. Best employees you'll ever get. So check it out. If you want my invite code, I need to add that to the show description. I haven't yet, but I'll have that ready for tomorrow. This was an impromptu stream. I didn't expect patch notes, so I don't have all my stuff prepared yet. Sorry. But anyway, back to it. Plenty of changes as well to the combat engine, as well as some quality of life improvements to make every void hunt a tad more enjoyable. General block changes. All right. So what did they change about block? Up until now, additional +% block has been added multiplicatively. Oh, yeah, wow. Okay. That's wild. I did not know it was working that way. And explains why some of my some of my random archers get so many blocks. For better clarity and to simplify things, we are changing block. Now be additive. If your hero has a 10% base chance to block and receives a +5% block chance via equipment or skill, he will now have +15% chance to block. So that's nuts. So you could you could give them, did the order that they were applied then make matter before? So like, say I gave someone +5 and then I use the same ability on another hero but on the same target, gave him another +5, right? Or I guess a +10 would be better. So if I somehow gave them two different numbers, would the order have mattered before and now it doesn't? I wonder. That's something I would have to ask the devs, but because I failed out of math in college, just to be clear, so never trust me on math. That is an open disclaimer. I have this. Math of any kind. Block chance via equipment skill. Yeah, okay. So we are adjusting how warriors and knights are giving that chances out. That makes sense. The specifics can be read down below. All right, so this is cool. I mean, this is something that I've generally expected, right? Is that we're going to see changes to the game mechanics as the design is refined. And like, you got to think about this. They're building a puzzle by just putting a few pieces out at a time, right? That's what this game is generally. That's what iteration is. It's like something comes out and then something else comes out, and you just kind of, overall, over time, it morphs into this very big, cohesive thing. And so as you're doing that, you realize that my first draft of this way back then is kind of a hindrance. Maybe we could change it, and it would, remove that hindrance and make things better and easier going forward. I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, like a design improvement. I don't know if it's driven by, I don't think it would be driven by like computational needs since the game happens off chain, but I just, it's interesting. I would assume it's driven by like a balance thing. Like it was getting out of hand with block. Overtime abilities are now combined. Ooh. If the same heal over time or damage... Yes, okay. Oh, the blessed days. This is amazing. I've wanted this. Does it also combine on the buff bar? Because if it does, I would be a happy guy. I would be a happy, happy guy. Man. Whew. I really like this. Big quality of life change. I was getting some very long strings of things from using Hunter's Mark. So that's great. And I had noticed it when I played the Priest as well. So, cool. Huge, huge fan. Thank you. Void Hunt changes. Poison is being. Oh, what do you know? Hey, didn't I say this? I said this to Maddie. He was like, he was asking Bolon, did you all decide to remove that poison ability from Berserker? And it was like, they can just add it with Berserker. Bam. Pudding. Proof. There it is. Poison is being introduced, and with it comes worse and worse consequences for not curing it quickly. Ooh, you gotta get on it. You can't just let it linger. Below is how poison works. Deal damage equal to 2% of target's max HP every 10 ticks. So think of every 10 ticks as like the average length of a set of turns for everyone. And then that's modified by speed, obviously. Some people like have 1 1/3, 1 1/2. Some people have like 0.75. It's just that 10 is like one block of turns in my mind mentally when I play. And so 2% every 10 ticks. Each time the damage triggers, the next poison damage dealt increases by an additional 2% of max HP up to a maximum of 20%. So if you let it go off 10 times, you're going to be taking 1/5 of your health, no matter how big that health bar is. It could be like 300, it could be 3,000. It's going to take off the same like chunk when you look at the bar, because that's like a percent, that's a scale, and it's going to feel huge because it's a lot. It's 1/5 of your health. But if you let it get to that point in the first place, you must have had healing from some source. But at that point, you have to do whatever you're going to do within the next 5 turns. And that's assuming the enemy doesn't attack you at all, right? So kind of nuts. Like blind, poison does not expire naturally, right? I figured kind of with a 10-round build-up, that's not going to happen all that often because it's going to be lethal before it even gets there. But it can be cured with cleanse, purify, anti-poison potions, nice, and recovery. Cool. So I might still be able to run my no healer comps. I was worried about that. I forgot about anti-poison potions. I will have to make some of those. And recovery, right? That is the self-cleanse. Love that. I love that mechanic, by the way. It adds so much thought to my how I attack sometimes, because like I'll try to factor it in if I'm going for a win. Like, can I rely on these 2 damage over times to take out both of those birds in the back? Because it does more than enough damage, right? I'm doing like 118 with the 2 dots stacked up on Hunter's Mark. And then if they have a bleed, forget about it. It just gets bigger. It's like half their health bar. And, but like they could always self-cleanse it. So sometimes if they only have 1 and I really need the dot to hit, I'll use Hunter's Mark again so that it has 2. Because then I'm like, all right, you're going to self-cleanse 1 of them. I'm still covered. Like I love having to think about that in the strategy. It adds a really good layer in my opinion, which I know most people probably don't like. My friend Stix is always saying, like, do they have to make it so hard to make it fun? And I'm like, well, it's kind of like what every game is a balance of, and this one's leaning on the more skill side, so I'm kind of cool with it, personally, but I understand the opposing view. Anyway, doesn't expire naturally. Monsters have learned to adapt to these effects. Haha. Balance for PvE. This is cool. So balancing distinction between player versus player combat, versus player versus environment, because it's, monsters are now distinct from the default, which is player versus player. Player versus player is the default, baby. We're almost there. Have learned to adapt to these effects and have gained a new passive skill called Resilient. With it, both Boars and Box now gain plus 5% recovery chance while inflicted with blind or poison, plus 10% if inflicted with both. So, 5% is pretty big. That's pretty big. I don't know. I'm going to have to play with that, see how I like it. Because you could get strings of it just recovering. That's interesting. But it won't happen against players, so that's cool. All right. I like it. It would be kind of busted, I think. Like I just picture you put it on Mama Bach, turn 1. Cool. Cast 1 small stone at the back box. Get them low. Pass turn. Heal, pass turn. Until you kill the babies just before she goes under and do some damage to her. It would just be stupid easy. So I I support it. I wonder though, should they be more susceptible to poisons for some reason I can't think of yet lore wise, but to offset that imbalance, I wonder, because because there's a really good chance it's not going to go even close to the full 20 ticks. Maybe up it to like 3%, or I don't know, 2.5. And I'm just curious. I'm spitballing here. I should check out chat. Really not a lot going on since the mute. For real, some people might be more stoked about the animation stacks than the new class. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant and I don't know what animation stacks means. The stacks part in particular. Do you think that poison can kill? Usually in these games, poison gets to the point. Oh, it's a good question. It doesn't say that it can't. And, the rules about making U-turns in California at an intersection say that, if there's not a sign saying that you can't do it, that means you can do it. So I'm going to take it as you can do it if it doesn't say here that you can't. Because why wouldn't it? Poison kills people all the time. It's a very common murder weapon in a lot of novels, mysteries, and, lores generally. Yeah, poison can kill currently says. Hubert, I could make that bigger for everyone if that would be helpful. Oh, played myself. There we go. But then you can't read as much. But do you guys? I'm reading here, so it's okay. Additionally, where was I? Changes to taunt. Brand new. All right. With the introduction of Seer, we also introduced our first channeled healing ability and quickly noticed that it didn't work as intended when taunted by a big boar. We are therefore changing the taunt behavior as follows. If a taunted enemy is channeling when taunted, and the taunter is not the target of the channeled skill. If an enemy is channeling when taunted, and the taunter is not the target. So, you're shooting my priest. I'm a warrior. I say, yo, no, you're taunted. That's where we're at. If the taunter can be a target of the skill, the target is changed to the taunter. If the taunter cannot be a target of the skill, the channel is interrupted. So it interrupts a heal that is, something you cast on your party member ally friends, and you redirect an attack. So I think I like that a lot, personally. I wonder... Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want the heal to go off on the enemy. I think, yes, definitely. No notes there. Yeah, it feels strong, though. Taunt is basically... I don't know. It's almost as good as a stun. But, not quite, because stun is, the ultimate interrupt and lose a turn. Oof. Draw 4, But it's, really close. I don't know. It's do I like taunt better or daze better? I don't know. Daze is super powerful. Regardless, going on. A single target offensive channeling ability, for example, Dread Aim, would be to redirect it. Oh, yeah, got it. Channeling heals would be interrupted. Yep. Additionally, a confused... I do have a, would range matter for that, wording? I assume not, based on the example given. But, it doesn't really matter yet, I guess. Because both of our channelers are... Their damage... They do their damage at range. So... I just wonder, does range matter for that statement? Additionally, a confused or berserk combatant will now always target the taunter. Yeah, so that's good. Taunt works. You can prevent them from taking out your wizard, what have you, whatever backline glass cannon you have going on with a random berserk attack by taunting the berserker and just, hey, you're gonna hit me every time now. And that presents interesting meta choices. It's do you build a tank who could take it? Or do you just try to build a full damage comp to destroy it or something to sustain through it? But I like being able to force that, and then for Confuse especially, because that way your CCs don't hurt each other. So you can kind of confuse someone, they get a turn wasted, and then taunt them, and you know you're just making sure that their next thing, whatever it is happening to you, and maybe prevent still a like an AOE damage thing. Changes to Dispel. Up until now, Dispel removed a random positive status effect from the target. Going forward, Dispel will prioritize dispelling a barrier and then a ward prior to dispelling any other effect. That's really interesting. Cool. I like this. Okay. Interesting. So say you have a priest and you're using barriers. You can't like stack in another buff like might, heal of might or whatever it's called, prayer of might. You can't stack in another buff just to give them some RNG on what's going to be dispelled, because it makes sense that what the player would want gone is the barrier. Or a ward, but it also is good that the barriers can be used to kind of protect a ward, and you can use them as like an onion layer. This is interesting. I have to play with it. I think generally I like it on thinking as the aggressor, and I hate it thinking as the person using the barrier or the ward. But I think that's a good way to feel about a change like this, because it's a very clear balance change. What they're trying to do is make Dispel have some power by giving it a priority that favors the most powerful kind of defensive buffs you can give, which are basically just raw health, or in the case of ward, protection from anything, whether it be a giant, what's it called, that final, whatever the warrior's execution ability is called. That's cool. I dig the Dispel change. Tooltips now show if a status effect is cleansable or dispellable. Yes. Oh, that's huge. Really good. I like it. Some things about tooltips, it's hard. One thing I've seen games do is like have a modifier button that you could hold and hover to see like the more detailed explanation, but otherwise that was just a generic explanation. That I thought worked well, but obviously that's a lot of work, and I'm just spitballing here. But cool. I do like more information generally being readily available in game. Thank you to I Love Berserker. That's funny. Given the Frost Bloater. I like it. I did enable it just for Frosty. He's my guy now. We're homies. Or maybe not. He still thinks he's cooler than me. But anyway, I digress. Raw damage is not so raw anymore. We have removed the raw damage from tooltips and simply refer to damage now. Cool. If the tooltip explicitly mentions pure damage, then that's what it's going to do. And that's the Berserker's Bloodlust. So I'm going to have to check that out below in the next section, Classes Berserker. All right. We're getting there, boys. Shout out to Bolon. This is Mountain Dew Baja Blast. I'm going to check out the chat. Animation stat, combining the animations for dots of the same kind into one. Oh, tracking. Yes, that is very big and nice. I do like that a lot. Let me take advantage of your presence here. Is there Pierce related to the bleeding effect? Taunt overrides range limits. Yeah, cool. That's what I thought. And TuneFed, the greatest intern. Thank you, Hubert. Yeah, sorry. I went too fast by that one. Hubert Cumberdale, everyone, says taunt overrides range limits. So no need to question anymore, as I did earlier. TuneFed, thank you for your support, my guy. Huff, hello. Sticks, delayed mobile transaction. Whoa. Non-zero chance, indeed. All right. I don't remember how far back I said that, but I do like that phrase a lot. Not going to lie. Berserker. No one enjoys brawling as much as the Berserker, but take care. In the heat of battle, he attacks friends and foes alike, equipped with many abilities to boost his offensive power, some even requiring blood sacrifices. He's ready to face Boars, Box, and soon other heroes. Man, they are really playing this soon up. But like small, just right, T am right there. I kid. The Berserker introduces 2 new mechanics to our combat engine, starting with his core skill, Berserk. All right. Core skill. Interesting. It's interesting phrasing. I like it. All right. Combatant gains 20% haste and 20% attack, loses 25% physical defense and magical defense, cannot be controlled, and will perform a basic attack on its turn. All right. So you just hands off. It's going. It's like you got a channel going. It's just going to go. It's not going to ask you what button you want to push. You're not pushing a button. Combatant cannot be controlled. All right, 80% chance to target a random enemy. 20% chance to target a random ally. All right. Woo. All right. I'm really going to enjoy playing with this. I have a feeling. Does not stack, and duration refreshes on application. So that means if you can just keep triggering it, you can keep Berserker going forever, potentially. And 20% haste and 20% attack, that's insane. So you're getting basically a, what is it? How does it work out? Like 6 attacks for every 5 kind of thing? Check me if I'm totally off on that math. That's what I think. I don't know. It might be like 5 for every 4 or somewhere around there. But either way, that's actually pretty good if you think about how many turns there are in a usual game. So I like it. And then you can also stack it. So that gives you a really good base, right? If you have, say a seer ability that gives just some raw haste. That could be a really good combination with it. You're now going, 3, I don't know. I'm not going to do math. Done with that. I dropped out for a reason. It wasn't because I didn't like it. It was because I could no longer understand what was going on. I think it was right around eigenvectors, somewhere around there. Does not stack and duration refreshes on application if greater than current. Cannot be cleansed. Cool, it cannot be cleansed or dispelled. I like how they have to say both ways because I could see you wanting to go either way with something like this. Like, you're taking a big negative here in this loss of physical and magical defense, right? And I feel like especially with any sort of burst damage that happens to you, right? If your enemy is another player, for example, and they see that you've just gone berserk, they could drop whatever their heaviest hit exhaust ability is and be like, yeah, you're going to take a lot more damage right now, a lot more than you were a turn ago, buddy. So there's an up and downside here. So if cleansed or dispelled, though, neither removes it. The duration is tick-based and is dependent on the skill that caused the Berserker to go berserk. The basic attacks will apply on-hit effects and can trigger Wild Frenzy. Poison. Physical damage that accelerates over time. Deal damage equal to 2% of target's max HP every 10 ticks. Yeah, this is the one they talked about above. Didn't they? Yeah. Didn't they talk about poison above? Am I losing my mind? No. No, I'm not losing my mind. All right, good. All right. Each time the damage triggers without being cured. Yeah, talked about that, gave impressions. Let's talk about these abilities. Berserker Mushroom, gain X attack, right? Where current HP, or max HP minus current HP over max HP. So the bigger the delta between your current HP and your max HP, the smaller that's going to be? I don't know. Bigger? As I said, I'm not bad at math. I'm not going to try to figure that one out. I'm just going to play with it eventually. At the start of this hero's turn, gain a Y% chance to be inflicted. So you gain attack, and you have a chance to get inflicted with Berserk for 25 ticks. So that's like 2.5 rounds. And if you're going really fast, that might be like 3 turns, because you have this haste buff, and you already have fast Berserker, right? All right. Where Y is 30 times 1 minus current HP over max HP. Less HP, more attack. Thank you, Rubito, for checking me on that one. On the arithmetic, because I can't even do that. Ulfanar mushroom. I don't know how to pronounce that symbol. If there's any sort of glottal I'm supposed to drop in or something. Yeah, okay, 90 karmas. You're on the same page. I was told there would be no math. Yeah, dude, Goldeneye, for real. I really blew it with that one. I really blew it with that one. For each instance, this hero deals damage. Gain 1.5% attack up to a maximum of 30. So if you do 20 instances of damage, you're getting 30% additional attack. That's kind of wild. So this one seems like more stable. You get a lot of attack as your health goes down, kind of thing. And at the start of every single turn, you have a chance to go berserk, right? So you're going to go berserk eventually, just because of that. Like your third, fourth round, you should expect to have gone, like probably gone berserk once, or at least have a plan in case that happens. Maybe you need a plan for it not to happen. Maybe it is your plan to go berserk that fast. But here with this one, it's every time you do damage. So say you have a retaliate on for some reason. This guy gets a retaliate because he has armor on that gives him that, for example. He could retaliate and then go berserk, get this haste, jump people. That would be insane. So, but it also gives you, and it gives you still pretty good amount of control because you're probably going to be doing an attack or some damage every single turn. So, this one's more you get your turn first, and this one you could go berserk at the start of every turn, but you just get some raw attacks. So maybe you, if you don't go berserk, you can do some things, with your abilities. Jofor Mushroom. For each instance, this hero receives damage from an attack or skill. Gain 2.5% attack up to a maximum of 30. 25% chance to be inflicted with berserk for 25 ticks. So you are the tank berserker. Like, yeah, hit me. Yeah, stop trying to hit me and hit me. That kind of thing. And every time you get hit, you get 2.5% attack. So if I take that and multiply it by 2, that's 5. Then times 6, that's 30. So that means 8. No, I'm kidding. 12. All right, so 12 times you take damage, you're getting a lot of attack and you're going berserk. So maybe if you're going up against an archer and they are dropping rapid shot, they are dropping multi-shot, they're using repeating shot, one of those, barrage. And you're just like, I'm mad now and I'm hasty and I'm going to kill you. Tier 2, gain 20% physical defense and magical defense. So that's kind of, that's a good way to offset this 25%. Potentially. Is that multiplicative or additive? I would assume additive. So it basically would leave you with a 5% loss. Okay, I got some comments here. Late but here so early. Mega, this is the patch notes review. I didn't know there was going to be patch notes. It just happened. And so I had the opportunity and I'm like, yeah, I got to do my patch notes review. Hubert Cumberdahl says, 91 Karmas, Pierce and Bleed are both separate mechanics, though many skills include both Bleed and Pierce. They don't interact with each other in any way. That's what I thought. Yeah, so if it's bleeding, the amount of Pierce that you have isn't, like on the skill that applied the Bleed, say like Piercing Arrow, that's not really going to matter. The Bleed's just going to do damage on its formula regardless. It's kind of, is it pure damage maybe, the Bleed? That could be, yeah, maybe. It could be an example of pure damage. I'm not sure 100%. The skills look interesting. So is it HP or does it having more max HP stat make you do more damage? You're talking about this one. So no, this one's all about the delta between your max and your current. Right. So that's right. So the smaller your current HP, the bigger this number on top is going to be. That's right. I was reading that wrong. Yeah. So if you're like 1 health, that's going to be the biggest you can get. All right. Wolf Pelt gives you evasion. Boarhide gives you attack. So it's like, all right, tank, traditional tank, or maybe just a bruiser to offset the effects of berserk. And then you have here a evasion tank, high berserker, or high agility berserker, where you're stacking evasion. You have the maybe the light armor even that gives evasion. I believe, if you can wear heavy, you can wear any. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Bleed is pure damage. And then Boarhide is like I'm going all in damage build. I don't care what you do to me. It doesn't matter. The moment you strike me, I'm going to just go berserk and kill all of you. That's what Boarhide's for. I mean, I personally, my first inclination is to take Bearskin because I like the fact that it offsets the effects of the berserk and gives me a chance to kind of learn like how to use the hero. And then as I get better at it, or maybe I build a hero with like a swiftness stone, Have one for wolf pelt that I try out, and then boar hide. It's I can never resist the call of just a pure damage buff for too long. I'm not gonna lie. I use Gladiator Strike, Gladiator, the passive on the warrior every time. I wonder if there are any changes down below to the warrior. I haven't looked. I've seen that there were changes just from glimpsing into chats, but I haven't read any of them until now. Bloodlust. So we're now on tier 3 abilities. So this is what? Level 6. Deal 6 pure damage to this hero where X equals 10% of this hero's max HP. Alright. So you'd give yourself a 10% haircut off the top, regardless of what your HP is. If you're at 50%, you're going to 40%. And you gain 10 plus 2 times VIT S. So it's the scaled VIT bonus. That's pretty good. Attack. Okay, so if you have a high VIT Berserker, let's just say you have a really high VIT one, and you get 8. Maybe. So that would be 8 times 2 is 16, 26% attack. Could be wild. Maybe I'm overestimating it. Maybe it's 4. That would still be 18%. That's pretty good, in my opinion. Bloodlust is cool. And it kind of... I feel like you cast it, right? And say you have this... this Joe Fur mushroom. You cast it, deal yourself some damage, go berserk. Have a good time. Well, guess what? You have this fat bonus attack for all 4 of them. That might be a good opening ability, is how I see that being used. Pretty cool. What's it in the same tier? Or it's in the same thing as Berserker. So it's, I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if I think things need to be thematic through the tiers too much as far as how they function. But I really like this with that Joe Fur. And then Howl. Target each enemy on hit. I love the wolf theming, by the way. Very Mythic Squad. Just saying. Shout out to the squad. Howl. Target each enemy on hit. 45 plus 3 times your scaled strength. Chance to intimidate each target by 20% for 4 turns. So this is a much more reliable, in my opinion, version of the Warrior's intimidation ability. And so that, I've heard WoWE say if it comes out with, and that's like all it does, he's like, why take it over the Warriors one? It's because the Warriors ability is primarily a buff. Like, that's what a war cry is. You're like buffing your allies, you're getting them all hyped, riled up, ready to kill the enemy. And this howl, that's more intimidating. That's your pack is hunting, right? The prey is alone in the woods. They hear the howl, they get scared, they make mistakes. They take more damage. Or they do less damage. Excuse me. That's what Intimidate does. It makes you do less damage. So yeah, so this one, because it has a much higher than 50% chance, kind of by default, unless you have really low strength, to where times 3 doesn't get you at least 5, which would mean you have to have, below 2 on this scaled strength. So you'd have to be, like, I would assume, a pretty low outlier kind of almost for strength. Maybe not outlier, but bottom... maybe, I don't know, quartile, I'll just say that, for strength, to have this be below 50%. I think the Warriors one is 30. I don't remember what I played with, maybe even less. Blind Rage is the last one. Perform 4 to 8 attacks randomly determined, dealing 0.3, 1/3 of your attack, basically, to random enemies for each attack. So, random number of attacks, 4 to 8, which is randomly determined, yeah, okay. And then 2 random enemies for each attack. Well, at least it doesn't say allies. Am I right, guys? Am I right? So if you get a low end of the roll at a 4, you're still doing a greater than your normal, just basic attack amount by 20%, basically. Barring any blocks, right? You also have a greater chance to crit if you're doing, a more spread attack like that. So trade-offs there. But if you get an 8, you're getting, basically between 2 and 3 of a basic attack, which is pretty good, I think. So it's the random enemies. I'm like, Oh man, so not being able to choose your target is sometimes a downside for me, sometimes not. Random stuff is good, especially early in a fight, because you can really throw off an enemy's attack plan by putting damage onto multiple sources, forcing them to make a decision that may be the wrong decision. And so I do like that aspect of it, but sometimes, and I mean, I guess also as you lower the body count, you can focus fire better with it. So that's always another thing, similar to rapid shot. So maybe even better later on as a closer. I'm gonna have to play with it, see what I think. Oh, people have given me moksha. Yeah, I haven't been able to see because I've been reading, I haven't been watching. But thank you, everyone. So the first mushroom perfect fits with a barrier, right? I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, I think all of them go well with barrier. No, I guess maybe not this last one. Because it would depend if... ooh, that's a good question, actually, too, Noobs. If having a barrier would impact this. Whether this activates it when the damage comes. Hey, Brovia, thank you. It would go pretty good with barriers, yes? Okay. Okay. Very cool. Maybe I'm not seeing something on the first one, because to me that seems like the most vanilla... Oh, never mind. I get it now. I was like, that's the most vanilla Berserker themed one. Like, what? No, I get it. I'm dumb. Yeah, totally good with barriers, yes. I can't believe they even took me a second. That was bad. All right, Primal Strength. We're now at the tier 4s. These are your level 10, so this is what your kit's going to be if you haven't leveled to 15. If you want to buy some 15 Berserkers off me, let me know. I have a bunch. But gain 10% attack. While Berserk, this hero gains 20% additional attack. Ooh, so get 30. You basically get 10% by default. But to me, this kind of seems... I have a feeling you want to go Berserk all the time. You just want to be going Berserk. So I kind of think of this as like a 30% damage bonus to the most important part of your game, which is when you're going crazy. Now, I mean, yes, you could hit your allies, but you're more likely to hit your enemies, so swing for the fences, I say. At least that's going to be my first kind of what I try out. Critical strikes gain a 50% chance to push 2, which is interesting because, a third of your enemies that would have no effect on. On the people on the outer ends that would have no effect. You could push your own guy if you crit your homie while Berserk. I don't want to rule it out. So that could mess you up. But you could also move around either of their front 2 people. I'm going to have to play with it to see how I feel about it. It's interesting for sure. I mean, raw damage bonus, as I said, is hard for me to turn down for very long. Especially with only minus 5% physical accuracy. Yes. I mean, other people don't appreciate the light touches you guys put in with accuracy, but, when the box have that buff that gives them evasion, I swear, that's where the vast majority of the complaints about not hitting at crucial moments in the game are coming from, and I'm like, working as intended. That's all I think, because I just pop Hunter's Marks before that happens. Negate that. There we go. Not a problem. Level your heroes. Getting back to the regularly scheduled content here. The irregularly scheduled content, I should say. Wolfpack. For each living ally, gain plus 10% attack. Whenever an ally suffers damage from an enemy action, 5% chance for this hero to be inflicted with Berserk for 25 ticks. I mean, I appreciate the phrasing here, but just only in the name of concision do I recommend you just replace all that to be inflicted with and just say go. 5% chance for this hero to go Berserk for 25 ticks. It just flows. Flows so good. Go Berserk. I don't know. Maybe I'm underthinking it, but I feel like that's go Berserk is a shelling point for this hero. You don't want to hide it behind all these little words.
Whenever an ally dies, this hero automatically. So if your homie dies, you're going berserk for 4 turns or 40 ticks. I don't want to assume that's 4 turns because you're gonna have a fat haste buff. So, but for a lot, really long time, relatively speaking, in game time, that's cool. So you could just become like a ticking time bomb. The moment they kill your healer, you're like, well, time's up. Leroy Jenkins, we're going, and that's interesting. I mean, but of course, you know, the most competitive version of my analytical thought here says, well, yeah, but, you know, why would you want to play around an ability that gets a lot of its power when your ally dies? That's a comeback mechanic, not a win more mechanic. And me, I appreciate, you know, that comeback mechanics need to exist, but when I'm building a comp, I want to pick win more mechanics. Right? Something that I take and I use it and I advance my cause directly, when my cause being to remove the health bars of the enemies. But I'm not saying that's like you shouldn't have comeback mechanics. It's just like when I'm picking abilities. But still, I mean, I do like playing with stuff like this though, still, because it's like, all right, yeah, you thought you were doing really well, and now I'm going wild on you. And if like maybe you can, you know, tell in advance that one of your allies is very close to death, you can buff your berserker up. So that's good stuff. Ooh. Tier 5 Spore-Coated Blade. Deal 1.2 times attack plus 0.8 strength damage to a target enemy. If damage was dealt to an enemy, 70 plus 2 times Dex S chance to poison target enemy. Oh, this is the tier 5s, by the way. These are level exclusively for the cool kids at level 15. All right. Deal 1.2 times attack and 0.8 strength damage to a target enemy. If damage was dealt to an enemy, 70 plus 2 times Dex S chance to poison. 95 minus 2 times Dex chance to poison yourself. So you're probably going to poison yourself. So your Dex is really going to make a big difference on how this is handled here. So you know, if you have a low Dex score, lower than, say, you know, I don't know. I don't want to speculate about math because that's totally a speculative thing. But if you got a low one, you're going to be probably doing more likely to poison yourself than your enemy. So you'd want to have high Dex. So at least you'd be more likely to poison the enemy, even if you're willing to accept the poison hitting you. And then you also have a, you know, probably about 50, maybe 60% chance to cause the target to receive 20% additional damage from you for 4 turns. Oh, so, I mean, wow. With the poison on top, does the poison damage count as damage from me, or is it just my incoming basic attacks and attacks? I wonder, but either way, I will figure that out. I do like the strength mod. Yeah, I think this is going to be a go-to here. We saw how strong poison was. I'm going to play with that ability. Brutal Act. Deal 1.5 times attack plus 2 times strength to a random enemy. So good. Raw strength mod. These are pretty fatty if you build into them, especially with stones. You can get a lot of damage on abilities like these, and I really like. I mean, I like seeing them. I'm almost hesitant to mention how much I like seeing it. Yeah, in the seer, especially those whiz ones and int, the raw numbers. I'm so Brutal Act also looking good to me. If you do damage, deal 1 attack plus 1 strength, not modified, raw damage to a random party member. Amnesia 4. All right, a lot of damage to an enemy. If you hit, basically, right? So it doesn't trigger if a miss because no damage is dealt. But if they block, it would trigger. So that's interesting and fun. That would be like the rage case, I assume, for people. So if damage was dealt, it's gonna do a good chunk of damage to one of your homies. But you can prepare for that. You can build barriers, right? So you can play around that, and that sounds like to me it's gonna be a big chunk of damage when you use it. Brutal Act looks good. Nice and sexy. All right, Blood Rage. Channel 500 initiative. Reposition to P1. Interesting. I like a 500 initiative channel. Huge fan. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to love it on this ability, but just the idea of like a half turn channel, right? Kind of like a skipperoo. That's very interesting, especially especially on any. I don't know. I feel like it's good for all heroes to have something. Not saying it should be on all of them, but I can't think of a situation where I wouldn't be interested in at least having the ability to move like forward half on my next turn, even if it means I have to channel for that half turn. I mean I like that. It's very powerful. Reposition to P1. That's interesting because it's like I don't know when I'm going to have my Berserker in position 2 or 3. Maybe position 2 frequently, actually, but why would I want it to move forward? Like, what does that get me? Probably, well, I can take the Berserker's turn to do damage and, maybe protect my tank. But okay, let's read this part. Deal raw strength mod, half luck. Ooh, luck build Berserkers coming in hot. Skiller, I'm looking at you. I know if you're still in the chat, I'm looking at you. I escaped Wild Frenzy. Oh. Thanks, Hubert. I'm going to finish Blood Rage, so don't go back. Thanks. Deal 1 attack plus 1 strength plus half luck damage to each enemy. That's good. And I know Skiller's going to like it. Deal half attack plus 1 strength. So 1 strength on both of them, but you get less attack. And instead of a plus luck, it's your minus luck. I'm building a greater Luckstone Berserker later. Like, that's going to happen. Damage. This looks super fun. Gain Berserk for 40 ticks, and you guarantee yourself Berserk. Yeah. I see it now. Alright. What is it? I'm sorry, I still have to go with this one. Wild Frenzy. Each time this hero performs... This is back on the tier 4s, so level 10s. Each time this hero performs a basic attack action, gain plus 5, plus 2 luck. Ooh, even more luck! Yes! Skiller! Chance to consume 1 plus half of a level. One half times your current level. So if you're level 20, it's 1 plus 10. Unless I'm crazy. Mana points. So you consume mana every time you perform a basic attack. You have a chance, based on your luck, to consume some mana and perform Wild Frenzy instead. And what Wild Frenzy is performing 3 basic attacks on the same target. The damage of each hit is reduced by 30%. So 3 instances of damage, and for 0.7, right, times their normal amount. So you're doing total 2.1 if you assume no misses, no blocks, no crits, right? And this is just something that happens on a basic attack. So you're building for doing basic attacks, and this is just giving you a chance to trigger this and have some of your mana be useful, basically, to give you this extra, like basically a double attack, a little bit more than a double attack, and you have 3 chances to crit, which I think will matter. Which I think will matter because you're building into luck, obviously, right? Because that's the modifier here. And if you're doing that at tier 4, you're probably thinking about Blood Rage for you at tier 5, and you're all about triggering that Berserk and just performing those basic attacks as you just go crazy. So I'm into that. And then you throw some heals over time on him, throw some shields on him. It's great. Oh, I lost my point. Where am I? Here. All right. Now, that was a long one, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. Warrior. Warrior is getting some adjustments to the block bonus provided by Nuff. Big swings take some time, so we are adding a short channel to Final Blow, but are in return reducing the accuracy penalty. Oh my god. Alright, I saw people in chat call this a nerf. Holy shit. This is a huge buff. I'm sorry. Huge buff. This is a huge buff. I am so excited. Oh my god. Alright, Final Blow. Alright, you heard what I was saying earlier about that 500 initiative, right? So, I feel like very frequently I have a warrior who is, over the course of a game, slowly kind of gets a little bit behind, or maybe in a point where like 300 initiative could make a difference on my next turn, and I can get it before any chance, there's no chance of interrupt, and you get more accuracy back. I think this is kind of awesome. It gives you some time bar positioning ability on the warrior, which is lacking, right? The only way you can do it right now is by using a potion, and it's only 300. Like, how often is that going to be? That's really only going to be punishing to a super high agi warrior who's attacking right in front of the other team every time. But even then, I think you would find situations where you find it useful, and you get 10% of the accuracy back. Now that I'm still using my hunter's marks, I've got the 10% from that. I've got my strength or my whiz S from my seer. I've got that, so that I'm looking at 70 to 80% chance for it to hit, 87% chance for it to hit. It's looking like a much more attractive ability to me. Very much so. Enough. Decreased block from 20% to 10%. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, they said they were changing block around in a lot of ways, so it sounds like there just may have been way too much of it before. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on this. I don't use the tank build because I'm super aggressive. I play super aggressive, but like when I have used it, I liked it. Yeah, it's just not my playstyle right now. So it's not a huge change that will impact me, so I don't have a strong opinion on it. If you played with enough, let me know in the comments. Jeremy had a similar reaction to Final Blow. Ooh, yeah, dude. I think it's wild. Emmer said, hi, everyone. Skillers, the Demon. Rider, sup, y'all. Whoa, just got to my PC. Big day for the kingdom. Yeah, D-Easy. It is a big day for the kingdom. All right, let's check out the Knight now. Similar to the Warrior, the Knight is getting his block percent, providing skills adjusted, right? That's the theme of the patch. It's block for the blockchain. He's also hitting a bit harder now with some of his higher tier abilities. Intriguing. Shield up. Decreased block from 15 to 10. Decreased damage dealt penalty. Sweet. Stoked. This has my blessing. Like, unequivocally, I love that change. The damage, 30%, it felt pretty big. I think 20% is more manageable. If you could do anything about that damage penalty on cleave, though, wouldn't hate that. Just saying. Tier 3. Forever Vigilant, increased damage. 1.3, 1.2 to 1.3. All right. So slight changes. But on abilities that are kind of like the staple in your kit, that you use all the time, multiple times throughout the encounter. So that's a good chunk of damage adding up. Interception, increased damage just a little. Okay. Battle Ready. Decreased block now gives spell block. Cool, I'll take it. Even if it's just 5%, that's cool. Gives Warrior just like at least something. Or Knight, I mean, excuse me. We're on Knight, right? Yeah, Knight. That was a slip of the tongue. Gives Knight at least something there, spell block. Because he has no wisdom. So if like spells the meta, you can at least take that and have something. Amnesia increased on Iron Shield. Like, I don't know how much that's gonna matter, honestly. If you take the full tank build, you can kind of just, what's the word I'm looking for? Cycle them, and you get pretty good coverage throughout it. Like adding one turn to the Iron Shield, like, I don't know. I don't know how many situations that's gonna make a huge difference, but I'm sure it will in far more than I expect. So, because I don't know. It is a pretty big change percentage-wise. So there's the counter argument. 50% longer. Oh, it's going to impact a lot, buddy. There we go. Now on to everyone's favorite DPS because it is the primary range DPS in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Archer. We remove turn-based channels from the Archer's abilities and instead are switching over to initiative-based channels. I called this. I'm pretty sure. I did it publicly, but I don't remember where. But that, we would see a change to initiative-based channels in the Archer. I'm very happy about it because I think it has a lot more flexibility for balancing and a lot more depth and complexity for playing with the time bar. Tier 1 Precision Strike channel for one turn is gone. Now it's 800 initiative. Oh, baby. And the other two are both full turns. Precision Strike... because you would have issues all the time with the fact that you know, it was like your tier 1 ability would be the one getting interrupted. I think this is a really good change to give that like at least something to do with to prevent that. You know, if you're close to the back of a turn order section, you can use this to jump your person to the front of the next turn, and so your full channel goes off before you have a chance to even be interrupted. And there are a lot of other situations where just giving yourself a 800 initiative channel will be very, very useful and hard to respond to. So I like this change a lot, and it still maintains the power of these higher tiers because they really are wild. And of course, you dog me on the back end with twin arrows, but it is extremely powerful, especially when you use the dead aim combo with it, and like any other kind of buff. Throw a might on there, wild. Wilderness. Throw the pierce from the seer on there, wild. And now it's 1200 initiative, so you're definitely going to take at least one turn. So you have to account for that when you're using it, but you already have to account for the setup when you're using the full combo with dead aim. So I mean, yeah, just put some barriers on there, prevent some CC, throw big barriers on your archer, get that twin arrows going, you're good to go. Good to go. Seer. Sanctuary quickly became the crowd favorite following the Seer release. Instead of reducing the barrier and heal provided, we opted to make it less spammable by adding Amnesia. I think this was very foreseeable. Due to the changes done to taunt, the Seer is getting some additional protection while they are channeling their support abilities. Intriguing. I like that because I kept thinking to myself, man, I wish there was something that gave me like some defense or some benefit for this channel. So I'm gonna have to check these out. Amnesia 2 on Sanctuary. Yeah, I mean if you use it with the I don't remember the name of it, but the level 1 that gives you haste and a heal after 10 ticks, whatever one that is, you can kind of alternate those pretty well. So I understand why it's 2. It forces you to go beyond just spamming that alternation. And although I am sad to see that my unbeatable Sanctuary comps are going away, I do have some fun replays saved in the Mythic Squad Void Hunts channel where I show off a triple Seer victory, where I use Sanctuary on one of them, Artificer on all 3 of them, and then Chrono Purge on all 3 of them, and I think I even used Warstone on all 3 of them, and it was fun getting the win against the boars, not the box. And then double Archer Seer was against the box, and it's just like you could just put anything you want up there, and Sanctuary is going to keep you full health the entire game because no matter what happens, you're going to have a little bit of shield and you got a little bit more health on the back end there, baby. You're fine. So I get it. I'm glad they left the power where it is, though, because now I could definitely see playing around with it. That level 1 ability I was mentioning earlier with the heal. Might be harder to run Sanctuary in a damage build Seer, but you got Time Warp sitting right there, so take that. Purification Stone. While channeling, gain Taunt resistance. Nice. Taunt causes this channel to be interrupted. Well, Taunt now causes all channels to be interrupted, right? That was kind of... Oh, no, it doesn't. Yeah, that was the point of the heals, right? Yeah, so all the healing ones have a taunt resistance. No days, though. Interesting. I mean, maybe there's less days in the Coliseum. Still got Rapid Shot, though. I'm just saying. But, alright, cool. I mean, I think I'm fine with these. Taunt matters for the boars, I guess, but not really. You're not going to put your Seer up front very frequently. Oh, yeah, it releases tomorrow. I said that at the top. I don't remember if I mentioned it at the top. Maybe it was before I fixed the mute issue. Bug fixes. Fix some weirdness that caused icons or animations to play ahead of time. Yeah, cool. That stuff happens sometimes to me. Replay should now correctly display icons and animations. Basic attack tooltips now show the accuracy bonus. Dope. Stun is now cleansable again. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't notice that it was gone. But that's funny. Because I had been telling people that it was. Fixed an issue that caused the mad boar to become classified as an ally. If targeted by a channeled seer heal. Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah, okay. It's like, that's how they figured out they needed to make these taunt changes. This bug fixes section is always like a glimpse into the secret mind behind there. It's like, what are they thinking about? That's wild. And then various bugs that were causing troubles. All right. And with that, I've read the patch notes. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And those of you who are listening later, thank you guys, too. Yeah, I will leave you with something that I can see on my interface, whether it's muted. I don't know. Because I want to know if this is impacting everything. Looks like it's playing 6, so I'll leave you with that, everyone. And thanks for emphasizing with 6
in the mosh pit, in the mosh pit, in the mosh pit, in the mosh pit. We hitting those mosh shots, baby. Pouring foreign boss cards, baby. Mythic dread, that ain't cut it, honey. To make these cards, you gotta burn money, dummy. Your car's straight up funny. We burn better heroes than you'll ever have. You excited about Lay G's? That shit sad. Mosh would wipe the floor against all